Happy Friday Eve. A thought just popped into my mind of an idea for one of these lives, and I need to write it down. Otherwise, I am going to forget. Anyway, how was your day? Mine was pretty good, actually. My day was pretty good. I went to bed super late last night, right before 3 a.m., and I allowed myself to get an extra half an hour, and I think I woke up shortly after 8. Usually, I like to get up and go for a walk, but this one I gave myself permission to just chillax. Um, and then I looked at my phone and realized, oh, I had a doctor's appointment at 8:30. I forgot. And when I looked back at my phone, I realized that they actually texted me earlier in the week. And guess who ignored the text? Because honestly, I did not read the text. I saw a message come in, and I thought it was um, another company. And yeah, so I missed it. So I called, and what was crazy too is like when I looked at my calendar, I saw that I had an appointment for not only today, but I had one also for tomorrow. And I was like, huh? So I ended up calling them before they called me. Wait, I think they called me actually. Yeah, they called me. And when I answered, I was like, oh. And I said, I apologize. And I said, I didn't realize until this morning and I was late and blah, blah, blah. But I think what threw me off though is that I had taken Tuesday as a sick day because I was really not 100% and I didn't want to push myself. Um, but the way that my spirits work is they know who they're dealing with, right? So they protect me. And when I asked to reschedule, because she said, would you like to reschedule? I said, sure. So she was like, wait a second, we also have you for tomorrow. And I was like, oh, really now? So so I told them I'll keep that one. I'll keep that appointment. And then I had to make another appointment. And so I have the two appointments tomorrow, my two annual checkups. So boom, boom, done out the way. So I'm grateful for that. But today was a good day. But anyway, I'm glad to be here. And I realize that our lives, like it or not, our life, each day we create content, whether we care to share it on social media or save it for a book or whatever have you. But our life is content. And when I look back at the Antonia in 2024, I'm like, wow. Welcome back to Antonia's Blissful Corner, your quiet space for reflection, growth, and peace. Before we dive in, please remember to grab a copy of my book, Unlocking the Introvert, a pocket guide to understanding and interacting with introverts. It is available at societyofintroverts.com, Amazon, and everywhere books are sold online. So please, I invite you to take a breath with me because today we're talking about something that used to shake me up on the inside, more than I ever cared to admit. Breathe. And I came on a few minutes early because I have to manage a mentorship community tonight. And so I need to basically be available minutes before we start, which is at 8. Anyway, last year around this time, my manager sent a message to the group asking us to save a date for a team lunch. And when I tell you that the way my introverted spirit jumped, Lord Jesus, my heart started to palpitate. I kid you not. My mind went into overthinking overdrive, and I started to scroll through my internal list of excuses like a Rolodex. And I couldn't find anything. I could not find anything that would have even been plausible. I asked my mom, I was asking the few people, like, what do you think? What should I do? And they're like, because some people are like, I wouldn't go. And I'm like, well, it's not that easy. I mean, it's different now, right? It's different now because relative it is. I could have taken a day off. But I did not. And it basically had me just spiraling internally for the couple weeks before the event. I considered calling out sick. Um, and that's how badly I wanted to not go. I did not want to be present. I did not want to participate because the thought of sitting in a restaurant with no escape, no quiet corner, no moment to breathe, it made my chest tight. It did. And that is the part people do not see, that quiet internal unraveling that introverts experience long before the event even starts. The morning for the morning of the lunch, I was still trying to plan a way out. I'm there getting dressed and I'm like, God, what can I do? How can I get out of this? I mean, I was thinking, can we get a storm? Something? Oh yeah, fine. Me asking for a storm is selfish, but I mean, when you're in a dire crisis. But I was on the morning of, I was still resisting. I was still hoping for some kind of a miracle. But I went to the office, and since I'm in the office, I had to go. And when it was time to prepare to walk across the street, I think I was the last one in the group to prepare. And I felt I kind of just dragged myself. I dragged myself to go because what am I going to do? Kind of felt boxed in, when we're there at the table and I felt boxed in. I wasn't miserable or anything. I just felt disconnected. That pressure of having to participate in conversations that I just didn't want to participate in. Like I didn't want to have these conversations. That feeling of being on when your energy is trying to be off. It bothered me. It bothered me to my core. You know that feeling? I'm sure you do. My bestie in another department knew that I was struggling. And I mean, we laughed about it because at this point, there was no way out. They know that I didn't really check for a lot of people in the office and that this was really and truly bothering me. They deal with things differently than how I do, and I had since, because I feel like if I had someone there that I actually connected with, then it wouldn't have been so bad. But meh, it was painful. It was like, I don't know. It was very uncomfortable to prepare for. And then in the moment, it was uncomfortable because I felt like I was participating in an event and I was on the outside. Even though I was sitting at the same table with them, I just felt like I was on the outside. Um, but thankfully, the time came and went. What's crazy is I remember we got there because the first thing you do, you sit down, you chat, look at the menu, and try to figure out like what you're gonna get. And I don't drink alcoholic beverages, and I think that they had ordered, some of them had ordered wine. And sitting there, and of course, like as soon as we sit down, we just start to think, so how long is this thing gonna be, right? Because then if we're not looking at the menu, if everybody's not looking at the menu trying to decide what they want, that means that we're gonna be there for a little bit longer than we need to be. I mean, can we get to the point? Can we get to it? um but the waiter came, took the orders, blah blah blah. And towards the end, because then of course, like, everyone's, because of the, it wasn't a big group or anything like that, but you had to wait. So everything is wait. You had to wait to order, wait for the food to come, wait for everybody to finish. And thankfully, like when we finished, then somebody wanted, I can't remember if I ordered any dessert. I don't think I did, because usually when I'm ready, and I'm not trying to extend it even if I want a dessert. It was painful even when I think back. It was painful. When we got ready to leave, someone said, should we take a group picture? And I was like, no. And it was, for me, it was a very clear no. I didn't have an attitude or anything like that, but that was something that I didn't want to do. I can see and I can understand wanting to take a group picture, like if someone was leaving, right? So you're seeing them for what could possibly be the last time. So, I can see that. I'm going to see you at least 3 times a week. What do you want my picture for? You going to pay me for my picture? What do you want my picture for? But I said no, right? I was very clear. I was very direct. And when I look back, I was setting a boundary. But my no was not honored because they attempted to try to sneak a photo here and there. They asked our waiter to take the picture for us. And um, he saw that I wasn't trying to participate in that activity. And so he did not pretend, and like, because sometimes some people try to, and I stood to the side and allowed them to do they do. But what got me annoyed was when I got back to the office and then someone showed me a photo. So I'm not certain, because then they had attempted to take pictures before they asked the waiter. Um, but somehow or another I showed up in a photo, and I was annoyed. And I remember feeling this wave of irritation. There was disappointment. And honestly, I felt disrespected, because when you ask someone for permission and they decline, that should be the end of the story. I mean, I operate differently now, because what I should have done when I look back is I should have said no and basically move away, so that there wouldn't be any um oopsies or anybody trying to, because I feel like we're adults, and I think that if someone say they do not want to participate in something, it should be honored, right? I think that when we stand for something, or whatever it is, we should be respectful, because the reality of it is, if the shoe was reversed, I would not force somebody to do something that they would not want to do. But nevertheless, here we are a whole year later. I think sometimes when we decline to participate in certain things, people may look and say, "Oh, they're not being a team player, or they're being antisocial, or whatever have you." And I think that that is false. I know that that is false. That isn't the case. For introverts, it's not about being difficult. It's more about being comfortable. We don't like to feel uncomfortable, right? It's already uncomfortable being there, being in a space that we'd rather not be. Like, we're already overwhelmed as it is. So to go add another layer to take a picture and all of that, why? You know what I mean? Why? But anyway, nevertheless, here we are 1 year later. And this afternoon, my manager mentioned another group lunch before the holidays. And you know what happened this time? No internal meltdown. I was here, I read, because she sent it on Teams, and I did not have a mental meltdown. Initially it was like, kind of, but I was okay with it, right? There were no heart palpitations, there was no panic, there was no grasping for excuses. And I mean, am I excited? Absolutely not. But I'm not falling apart inside like I was last year. Not even close. Like, I mean, I had a little reaction, but it wasn't anything crazy. What I realized happened is that growth happens in the quiet. It shifts slowly. It doesn't announce itself. But one day you wake up and you realize, wait a second, I'm not who I used to be. I've learned that I can be in certain spaces without betraying who I am, right? I've learned how to, it's almost as if like there's something inside that I get to flick on to basically go into self care mode, whatever that looks like in the moment, right? And knowing about something early enough for introverts, it gives us time to mentally prepare, which is half the battle. Sometimes we can prepare for months and we're still not fully ready because uncomfortable. But for me, I think going through that experience and now it's a year later, I feel differently. A lot of people wonder why um, group lunches and office gatherings and forced social moments can feel so heavy for introverts. And here's the truth. Introverts process stimulation deeply. It's not shyness, it's not being antisocial, it's not being difficult. Our nervous system reacts to crowded spaces, constant talking, shifting energies, and unspoken expectations in a way that can feel very, very overwhelming. We don't just show up, we absorb the noise, the pace, the personalities, the energy. It all enter our internal space, and our bodies react before our mind can even explain what is happening. Introverts need grounding. We need a sense of predictability. We thrive in environments where we can choose how and when to engage. When that choice feels limited, the nervous system goes into protection mode, right? Because picture this, you're going out someplace, you don't know who's going to be there, you don't like no escape route, you don't have someone who could be considered your human crutch. You're there by yourself. You're there with a group, but you're there by yourself because you don't really connect with these people. Not that there's any, like ill will or anything like that, but you just don't. I feel as if like we connect with who we connect with, period, right? But for me, when I look back, last year was like a storm. And so far, this year feels like it might be just a light drizzle. It's still there, but it's manageable, right? The good news is that introverts can learn to be okay in certain spaces, not by changing who we are, but by understanding how much we move through the world, right? How we operate, like how we can prepare for certain situations. Preparing in advance helps us rehearse mentally, which calms the nervous system, right? So in 3 weeks time or 4 weeks time, I'll be fine. Setting internal boundaries gives us permission to step away or be quiet, right? Now, the reality of it is because it's a group lunch and it's a small group and at a restaurant, it's not like I can just say, excuse me, and go stand in a corner, right? If you were in a club, maybe, but if you're sitting in an intimate setting, then it's different, right? But we get to choose how we want to participate, right? We get to choose where we want to sit, right? Because sitting, where you sit also matters. If I'm sitting with my back to the street, then I have nothing to gaze out the window at. Right? So it's like choosing your seat is very intentional. Choosing who you sit next to, because some people like you can tolerate their energy more than some. Unfortunately, that's just how it is, right? So those are ways that you can actually, I guess, like take control of the situation. Who you sit next to and where you sit, and choosing if you want to engage in conversations. I usually do not. I usually do not engage, aside from the telling the waiter what I want to have to eat. That's it. Right. um Releasing the pressure to entertain frees us from performing, and making sure that like we charge afterwards reminds us that our body discomfort is temporary, right? So recharging could be on the walk back to the office, quiet time, or as soon as I get into the building, oh, I got to go to the restroom. I really don't have to go, but it's a way to basically separate and have alone time before going back into the workspace. There's so many successful introverted leaders and quiet professionals who, because I was thinking about it and I was like, but they're introverted and they're able to function, right? So there are people who are like me, who I'm sure would rather avoid certain, I don't know, events, but they go, not because they're pretending, but because they've learned how to hold themselves steady through discomfort. Growth doesn't always mean loving the things you once avoided. Sometimes it simply means not fearing them anymore. And that, for an introvert, is a powerful kind of freedom. If this message resonated with you, kindly like, comment, subscribe, and share it with someone who struggles with social anxiety or group outings. They might need this today. And also, as I mentioned in the beginning, if you have not picked up my book yet, Unlocking the Introvert, a pocket guide to understanding and interacting with introverts, it is available at societyofintroverts.com, Amazon, and everywhere books are sold online. It is truly a pocket guide um, that every introvert should have, and those who are not introverted but curious about our behaviors. So I appreciate you for being here with me tonight. I appreciate you for coming along with me on this journey. Today is I think it's day 37. We were doing 25 days, but I decided to go 50, and today is day 37. And I'm grateful because I see how I am growing. I'm learning how to operate these YouTube streets, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying preparing my thoughts, and I realize that content, like I said in the beginning of this video, we live content every day. And I'm grateful that I'm now able to speak on some of the things that I experienced throughout my day. Hey, Veronica. Because these are everyday moments that happen for introverts. And I'm hoping that my messages will resonate with you, because I knows the struggle. So I'm hoping that my message will help you to get through certain moments as you continue on your journey. Anyway, please remember, peace isn't a place, it's a choice. Stay blissful, and I will see you next time. By the way, I'm wearing this Always on Mute t-shirt. I do have a podcast, Always on Mute podcast. It's in the early phases. But if you'd like to cop this t-shirt, it's available at t-shirtsanddenim.com. That's with one D. See you next time. Take care, Veronica.